I hope everybody's having an amazing Monday. Mine is it's sunny here in Connecticut, so that's a really good start over here. I'll take it. It's an amazing start. So as everyone may be aware, or if this is your first time here, welcome to Sharkfin Academy. My name is Willie. I'm the Director of Education for Sharkfin Shears. Thank you for joining us today. I'm super excited to have Danielle from Colormap with us today to do some color education. Geez, Danielle, I met you 4, 5, 6 years ago, maybe longer.
Somewhere in that vicinity.
I was doing education for another company at the time, I think, and you were doing education for another company at the time, and here we are. Our paths continue to cross. So Danielle's a color map educator, Austin-based hair cutter and hair colorist, all around badass and guru. So I'm super excited to be part of this class today. Rainbow Road. It gets me really excited, just the title. So I can't wait to see what we have. If you're new, or if this is your first class and you have questions, please ask. This class is not about me. It's not about Danielle. She already knows this stuff. It's about you. So if you have a question, please ask in the comments. If you're watching on Facebook, you can do the same thing. Ask the question in the comments. I'll be bouncing back and forth, facilitating from there. So other than that, have a wonderful class. Danielle, if you need anything, I'll be creeping around in the background once you get going. Without further ado, take it away. Thanks for joining us.
All right, perfect. Whew. All right there. Hey there, guys and gals and non-binary pals. I'm Danielle, aka Geeks Get Glam. So if you want to follow me, Geeks Get Glam. I'm really excited to be here with Sharkfin Shears today. Like Billy said, we've gone back a really long time. So today I wanted to show you just some quick vivid application. And again, if you have questions, please feel free to ask. I'm masking and far away, so I can't bite you. Just ask me questions and we're happy to help you. But I wanted to share some vivid formulation and just a quick application that works for pretty much any canvas that you have. So this is actually my friend Casey. We both moved from New York to Texas together, and that's how much she likes having her hair done. And she had to move with her hairdresser. So what I wanted to do first before we get into the application, and again, if you guys need help with anything, questions, comments, concerns, we are here for that. So Louis mentioned that I'll educate with Colormap. And honestly, this thing is a lifesaver for me. I specialize in doing vivids. And one of the things that I have learned over time is that not everyone lifts to this like perfect, like paper towel level 10. So I used to swatch things and it wouldn't accurately represent what was going to go on the hair. And then clients would be disappointed. I'd be disappointed. I wondered what the hell happened. I learned that I had to really focus on the contributing pigment that I had. So Casey is someone, she's naturally about a level 4. She has finer hair. She has lower density hair. She's not someone that I try to lift to a perfect level 10 because her hair is not so going to be able to handle that. So what we did about 2 weeks ago is I went in and did a foilage. I really focused on her ends. And you can see, like, she's definitely light enough to have a vivid, but it's not going to be like, whoa, neon craziness. And what's nice too is I did about 3 bowls of lightener on her. We haven't done a vivid on her in about 3 years. She was in wedding planning mode, and now that the wedding's over, we can go back to having fun. So every bowl of lightener that I do, I go up a half a developer, so everything process is the same. So I started with 15 volume, 20 volume, and I finished with 25 volume, and that created a really even canvas. So I wanted to kind of share with you guys too, this is how I like to swatch things. And we've got a whole lot of colors happening. I tend to use Pulp Riot, so that's what we're going to be formulating with today. I also added B3 into my formula because I am all about adding bond builders, giving that strength when we need it, especially with someone that's got finer hair. We wanted to have all of the integrity possible. I also prepped her with a little bit of K18 because you know what? We're going to restore as many polypeptides as possible today. So if you can see, I've got this book and it's got all different levels. So you've got white, you've got like your pale yellow, deeper yellows, you've got oranges, and it goes into red. And what's really nice is I can take this and let's say, okay, hey, that's very obviously not going to be on the white side. So we know that these aren't going to work for her. Got a little bit of a pale yellow. Again, that's still a little bit too dark. I think this is pretty close to where we're at. There we go. Now I found something that seems a little bit more on target. And what's nice too is now I can show you exactly what I've got, and I can swatch this and show my client what we're going to be doing, and they're going to be able to be like, oh wow, I really like these colors, I'm excited. They'll understand the outcome a little bit better. If they have any questions, they can ask you. So I'm going to just swatch really quick what we've got on here. So first I'm going to share too, we're going to do some panels up in here for some rainbow. I actually already applied a section of her hair. It's got Deviant by Pulprit, and everything is going in a diagonal. And I'm going to get to that a little bit more, but let's swatch. So let's get a little closer. Okay, so you can see how that's going to look on her canvas. That's going to be a bit more of an accurate representation. So we've got our Deviant. This is going to be a mix of Velvet, Blue, using Cupid, because I like something that's a little more blurply. And that blue is going to help to kind of tone some of that orange that's in there and leave a really nice violet base. For her blue section that I'm going to do, this is some straight blue muse, and that's still going to be pretty bright. Oh, well, that's good.
Don't mind me.
So for the green, this is a mixture of Blue Muse, Satire, and Flytrap. It's actually pretty similar to what I've got in my hair. So, hey, I really love this color. And this is actually a color that her husband really likes. So we're appeasing him today. Our yellow that we have is some straight Satire. Orange, we've got a mix of some Nuclear and Sandstorm. I love that color so much. And then for our pink, this is going to be a mix of Candy and Cupid, because I wanted something to be nice and bright. So you can see all of the tones we're going to be working with. You can see how they're going to look on this level of lift. And I can show Casey and be like, hey, how are we feeling about all these?
I love it.
I'm so excited.
I'm so excited.
We've been talking about doing vivids on her for months at this point. So it's like, it's finally time. Perfect. Shimmy that over. And again, if you guys have questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to shout them out. I am here to help. So we're good. We've got all of our formulas. And if you guys want any formulas or want to see any of the diagrams or anything, feel free to DM me. I love helping people out. I'm always here to share stuff, and I'm going to post these on my stories throughout the day as well. Perfect. Okay. So I like to get into sectioning for my vivids, because sectioning for color is going to be very similar to sectioning for cutting. Whenever you're doing a horizontal section, you're going to be creating a lot of width. When you're creating vertical sections, you're creating an illusion of length. And if you're doing diagonal sections, you tend to create a lot of movement. When I do vivids, I tend to do a lot of diagonal sections. Why? It's going to just naturally create movement, and depending on how steep it is, it creates a lot of blend. So if I'm doing a bunch of diagonal sections and everything's overlapping, it's not just going to be like, oh, this is a chunk of blue. It's going to have all of these different pieces happening. Why I happen to like diagonals too is I can create a lot of really blended colors, but it's easy for me to remember what my sectioning was. So that way, if someone's like, oh my God, I love that color, I want it exactly like that, I'm not sitting there going, haha, okay, and trying to like resection out things. I know exactly what I did and I mapped that out. So easy peasy. And then this I'm pretty much just gonna leave up. I'm a giant nerd. I love a good head sheet. I think it's because I was a cosmetology instructor and I'm like, yes, let's do it. So if anybody wants any of these, please feel free. To DM me. I will send them all to you. So what we're going to be doing today is we are going to be following the rainbow. So we are going to be going from purple into blue, into green, yellow, orange, pink. I did like a raspberry color up top. And then we're going to do like a nice little rainbow section in the front. And I'm just going to keep rotating Casey like the pedestal she deserves to be on. But you can see that we've got like our nice steep diagonals. And you can see too, this is going to be really easy for me to recreate. So she comes in 6 weeks for a touch up and is like, oh my God, Danielle, I really want these colors again. It's so easy to do. Oh, Catherine's on. Hi, Catherine. I love her. She is a sweet baby angel. Okay, so we are going to start off with our purple. And honestly, this is really, oh, it's such a pretty color. I love it. What are the other things that I like to do for a vivid? Always have a towel. It's kind of like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Always need your towel. I am constantly wiping my hands, and I think that's why I move so slowly sometimes doing a vivid, because it's okay if some colors blend onto each other, but I'm trying really hard to be nice and neat and keep these tones a nice gradient. And casually keep that right here. And we are going to bang this up. Oh, Rochelle. I used to work with her. We've done Fashion Week together and a whole lot of fun stuff. Cool, cool, cool. So I'm just going in, taking our nice sections. I happen to really like pre-sectioning as well because, fun fact about me, I am just unbridled chaos and I need all the control in life that I can possibly get. So this helps me to stay organized and not be running around like a chicken with my head cut off. And I also, just around the hairline, I tend to hold this like a chopstick and I just really like to feather. So I can get all these little baby hairs. And I try really hard to be nice and neat. Again, whether or not that happens, who knows? Okay. So I'm just gonna keep applying. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. One of the reasons I really like doing a technique like this too is I started doing this because I had someone that came in that had previously had split hair and they were like, oh, I really like this, but also I really like a rainbow, but also I kind of want to do something up top. And I'm like, cool, you want everything. And this was a really good solution for having like Hannah Montana, best of both worlds. I want all of the colors. You still kind of get a split because you have like a cool side and a warm side. You're getting a rainbow. You have a little bit of a veil. Life is good. This is how we come up with creative solutions for everybody. Is everyone able to see?
You can see if you want to give a side shot so they can see your sectioning a little better. If you want to just do that, wonderful.
As I'm trying to move with my elbows. Trying not to get paint on everything. I work at Urban Hair in Austin, Texas, and we had just renovated. And the walls are white, and I'm a little stressed out trying to not get color on everything. But there we go. We've got this nice and evenly saturated. On to the next section. wipe our hands and try and not make a mess. Perfect. Okay, so now we've got our next section. I'll take this clip and try and tuck everybody else out of the way. This is going to be our blue section. Actually, I think I'm going to shimmy a little bit of this into the green section. I think the blue section got a little bit greedy. Perfect. There we go. And again, this is our Blue Muse. This is probably one of my most used colors is Blue Muse. I think I use it in just about everything. I mixed it with purple. I mixed it with the green. I'd probably eat it if it wouldn't kill me. Going in, outlining that section. And you can see how this is going to create that little bit of that overlap too. Taking this section, it's going to go here. So now, does everyone on here do Vivids? Is everyone an aspiring Vivid artist?
We'll wait for those answers to come in. We do have a question from Catherine. She wants to know, are your section sizes equal or are you changing sizes of your sections as you go?
Oh, okay. So that's actually a really good question. Her front sections are actually a little bit smaller just because you have lower density hair towards the front, and she typically has a little bit of lower density to begin with. So those are going to be a little bit smaller. And then I try to keep each side even. It kind of depends on the amount of hair that I have. I also think it depends on if someone has a color where they're like, I really want a lot of blue. Maybe I'll make a bigger blue section. Oh, wait. I feel like this is one of my favorite things to like film in slow motion too, is if you're just like, oh, look at this very satisfying color pole. Cool, cool, cool.
What about the Blue Muse do you love? Does it brighten? Does it help with reflection? What's your favorite part about it?
Oh, okay. So I really like Blue Muse. Honestly, I just think it's like that perfect neon blue. I like it because I can add like, it does give a little bit of some brightness. I used to use Aquatic a lot, which I feel like is a little bit more of a blue-green. This I just feel like is just that really nice, happy shade of blue. I like to add it to if I want to add a little bit of depth into a color like a purple and add a little bit of a blue base, but I feel like maybe Nightfall or a navy or something is going to be too dark. This adds a bit of blue without it really taking over. Perfect. I'm going to take that and just twist it. Bam! One more section down. So now we're going to go on to the green section. I happen to be quite partial to that one, you know. Awesome. So you can start to see a little bit more. One of the things that's really nice about doing a technique like this too is that I can do a color underneath and have all of these really pretty rainbows. And let's say I have someone that's like, oh, I need to kind of keep it a little bit more subdued for work or school or whatever it is. You can leave their natural on top and leave all of this and let it be a veil. You can make sections as steep as you want. If you wanted to take like their natural color and then melt it into a vivid, so it's just like the tips, you really have a lot of flexibility with something like this. And again, I talked about how I do a lot with Colormap. Sometimes I'll have someone where they're they'll lift and the roots will be a level 7 and maybe their ends will actually be that perfect level 10. I could go in and do a darker shade at the root and then melt it into something a little bit brighter. You really have a lot of options and a lot of creativity that you can pass on with something like this. Okay. See, I feel like you add the green and everything just starts to come together like, yes, we are living that life. And I feel like the level that she lifted to, so she's about a level 7, 8 that she lifted to. This is such a great level for greens because you still have some of that yellow in there and it's going to just pop and be really pretty, which I think Ryder is going to really like. Trying to convince both of our husbands to have like rainbow hair color, and it's not going great. Any of you have suggestions for how to get that going, you just let me know. Let us both know, really. Okay, perfect. Twist that off. The section is done. Now we're going to go on to the yellow section. And I like to do colors like this where it's like, oh, okay, purple into blue, into green, into yellow, because I know that as you're washing, colors will bleed a little bit onto each other, and I want there to be a nice fade. I have some clients that'll come back to me after, God, like weeks, longer than they should. And it's nice to see them have a really nice fade out afterwards. Just stealing a little bit more yellow. Perfect. Biddly boop. Yeah. And you can see too, she still has some of this natural too, so it's gonna really just blend so nice. And I will say that one really good thing is I have a handful of friends that when I moved to Austin, I didn't really have a clientele. I kind of had to start over. So I'm really lucky that I have a group of friends that are like, oh, cool, we want to do Vivids and let's do something fun. And I took a lot of photos of them, and that's kind of how I built myself up out here. And all my friends basically worked at the IRS. So you had a bunch of bright and sunshiny people running around the Internal Revenue Service. So really just here to screw with the government now. Well, yeah, but no. And this is going to be such a nice level for that yellow. Look at the sunshine. Oh, this is going to be so happy. It's almost like that, like you could be like Colonel Mustard. Perfect. And I know Willie was saying it's like bright and sunshiny in not California, in Connecticut. Austin, it's a little bit cloudy out, but it's still freaking hot out. The one really good thing is I live for overcast because I feel like you get better hair photos this way. Rainbow hair and direct sunlight, sometimes I feel like you don't get that perfect photo. This allows you to have that really nice lighting. And I personally like taking more outdoor photos too when I'm doing a Vivid. I like people to really see what their hair is going to look like in natural light. Also, I'm just not friends with my ring light. We've tried. It's not a great time. Okay, perfect. We've got this done. You guys can see this is honestly a pretty quick way to do a Vivid. I'm also someone that when I do Vivids, I charge hourly. So if you have a client that's on a budget, sometimes it's good to have a really quick way to do a Vivid. Okay, perfect. This is going to be our orange section, which again is Nuclear and Sandstorm. It's really hard for me to not talk about the color Sandstorm and not think of that like early 2000s rave song, Sandstorm. Oh boy, I'm getting old. It's fine. We're just outlining our section. I feel like since I've moved to Texas too, I've really embraced a lot of these like warmer colors too, like adding more oranges and yellows and, you know, different shades of like corals and stuff. Going with the warm weather and just running with it. And again, I feel like these colors work so well with the level that we lifted to. It's really nice to have like something like the color map where I can go in and I have that visual and I can really see what's going to work. Sometimes too, you lift someone really light and maybe the color looks a little bit hollow. This is a really good way to avoid things like that. Whoop, get over there, buddy. Do we have any other questions, Willie? How are we doing over there?
Doing well. We just had another question come in. Do you find that bringing the color through all the natural hair is best versus just the lightened hair?
Oh, okay. So when I do this, I just kind of do that because then I really can see exactly where I've sectioned. And some pieces, I did do a little bit of like some highlights up top. So I do have some pieces that get a little bit of that. So I know those are going to get color. On her natural, it's really not going to do a whole heck of a lot because she is someone that's naturally very dark. But it's a semi-permanent color. It has B3 in it. And I've never heard anyone be like, wow, my hair is overly conditioned. So, hey, why not? Now we're going to get on to my pink, which is a mixture of candy and Cupid. A really good tip too, if you're ever looking to create like a super bright pink, add a dot of red, like add a little bit of Fireball and it'll just make it pop. Sometimes I'll even add like a drop of orange too if I'm feeling real crazy. Oh yes. Making this smash the patriarchy pink. There we go. These little guys. Okay. Man, we are making some progress here. You know, it's really interesting too to kind of see how far we've come with Vivids. I was definitely that like kid in college where I was just messing around with manic panic, and I'm naturally like a level 3, and I would try bleaching my hair, and I always wondered why things just didn't come out the way I wanted them to. Like I tried putting like a pastel in my hair, and I was like, why is it orange? Oh, it's nice that this is becoming something that's a little bit more mainstream, so that we were able to have more education and be able to be like, oh, hey, this is why this didn't work out. All right.
And having those discussions as well. Like I don't know that it's commonplace to do a swatch like you did at the beginning and show what that's going to look like on the level you have. Right? Not a level 10, what it's going to look like, but if you're a level 8-ish, then that's what that's what you're swatching to. and having an understanding of what underlying pigment is in each level and how that's going to affect the outcome, no matter what, how it's going to affect the outcome.
Absolutely. And you know what, too? The most important thing is a consultation. I will not book a vivid if I don't do a consultation beforehand. And I actually have PDFs that I send all of my clients to be like, this is how long it's going to take. This is the cost. This is the maintenance. These are your do's and don'ts. These are how you're going to do all of these things. And then I also tend to go through and I'll do a strand test just to see how I'm going to lift. And that's why I really like going through and having stuff like this. I've had people that lift to this level and they're like, I want to be silver. And I'm just like, yeah, so that's not a thing we can do. Here are your options. Would something like this work? And people be like, okay, cool, that's great. Or I feel that are like, no, I'd rather just be silver and I'll get extensions or do whatever. But I like being realistic and I like being honest because I don't like surprises behind the chair. I really don't. Because that's when I go home and cry. We don't need that. Okay. Ignore my plague. It's fine. Everything's fine. Cool. So we've pretty much just banged out all of this good stuff. I had already applied a section of deviant, which is just like a nice little horseshoe. And what I'm going to do up here is we're just going to do a quick little rainbow section. So I'm going to go pink, orange, yellow, green, and blue. And this way I'm going to do horizontal sections. It's going to be a little chunky. It's going to be a little 90s. I'm here for that goodness. And also too, she doesn't always part her hair like right down the middle. She parts it off to the side. So even though we're going horizontal, it's still going to get a little bit of movement and a little bit of some goodness happening. All right. I'm going to blind you a little bit with a foil. And I just go in and section with my clip. Man, I wish I could have a curl like that. Okay. I think I saw Rochelle asking a question. I saw some other people too. What do we got popping over there?
What do you consider if you're going to pre-tone, or what would you need to see in order to pre-tone?
Okay, so if I'm doing someone with that wants like cooler tones, where they're like, I want blues or purples or icier tones, what I actually tend to do is I pre-tone using a purple shampoo. A lot of the times I'll use the Pulp Right Barcelona because she's thick and she's pigmented. And I will let that sit on the client. I'm not even kidding, for about 10, 20 minutes. Depending on where I try not to do like a shades or something like that, because I feel like you get a little bit of that conditioning coating over it. And shades, because it does have amino acids and proteins and stuff, like it does help to reciprocity, which is great. But sometimes I feel like my vivids just don't take after doing something like that. So I tend to try and just do what I can with like a toning shampoo and then go from there.
Any tips or tricks on how to minimize bleeding when doing a technique like this?
Oh, okay. So honestly, trying to keep my sections as nice and neat as possible. That's kind of why I went in and did like a lot of my pre-sectioning. And this is why right now I'm doing some foils in the front. It just helps me to get rid of some of these guys and make sure that everybody's kind of living their best colorful life. The biggest tip, and this is the one that all of my clients hate, is freezing cold water. I remember taking a class years ago and the guy was like, if your clients aren't getting brain freeze, you are not doing it correctly. One of the things that I have learned is, hot and cold isn't going to change the pH. Temperature is speed. An iceberg moves a lot slower than steam does. So gradually over time, water is going to help break down the color. But if you're using colder water, it's going to slow that process down than if you're opening everything up and rushing it out with hot water. So yeah, you're in for a fun shampoo, or not shampoo, because we don't shampoo it out. You're in for a fun rinse in a little bit. Freezing cold water. Hope you're excited. some yellow.
When you're using K18 with your vivids, when do you use the mask?
Oh, okay. So that's a really good question. I use the mask when I'm all finished. So I will rinse her for a good like 10 minutes with cold water. Sorry in advance. I'll towel dry her, and then I'm going to put the K18 in. Before she came in, she actually washed her hair because we did her lightning service like 2 weeks ago. She washed it and didn't put any conditioner in it. So I actually did the spray beforehand and blow dried it in. So that was our prep work. A lot of times I try not to do the mask beforehand. I'll do that maybe if I have someone who's like super porous hair, like one of my clients has like really curly, dry hair. That's when I'll use the mask. Aside from that, I try to keep things easy peasy and not add too many additional steps. Okay, it's going to be our green section. Oh, I love this green. I'm going to say that like 30 more times. That like perfect, and she's a Slytherin too, so really I think we needed some of that. I'm clearly a Hufflepuff. All right, our last section. Woo! Amazing. We've got our blue muse. That was pretty easy. Wow. Guys, this is like an all-time record that I just did, a very like multi-dimensional vivid. And it's about half an hour. So I'm really excited. Cool. Look at you. So what I like to do is I like to let this process for about 35 minutes. And then, yeah, we get to do that freezing cold, cool wash. I like to rinse until the water runs clear. Then I'm going to add my K18 and we're going to style. And I'm going to post a bunch of after photos today. I'm actually going to post them today. I'm saying it out loud so I don't post them like 7 days from now. I've gotten yelled at for doing that, where I'm like, oh, let me post this in my stories and not post this for a week. My bad. Do you have any other questions, comments, concerns while we're out there? And I'm just going to keep spinning you around like you're on a
What do you what's your price range on something like this?
Oh, okay. So I charge hourly. So I charge $30 an hour. I typically tell people if we're going in and doing like lifting and things, I estimate about 4 to 6 hours. As I have some people where I'm just like, okay, quickly bleaching my roots and stuff. About some people be about 3. I have some people where I've had someone in my chair for like 9 hours. Hourly has been the easiest way for me to do my pricing because I'm not stressed about being like, oh, I did a balayage and I added 7 bowls of color and I did this and this and this. It's just, it's easy to break down. It's easy for me to explain to a client and for them to understand and to be like, oh, okay, I'm going to be here for 4 hours. This is what my price is. It's not them trying to be like, oh, you only used 4 bowls of color and you did this. And, you know, like, I ain't got time for that.
Right. Well, we've all had that guest too who counts bowls, right?
Yeah.
Like you know, not to make this about me, but I don't give a ton of information about how much product I'm using and things like that, because then maybe I use more, maybe I use less. Maybe you have someone in your chair who literally pays attention to that. you know, and then then we have to figure out those avenues as well.
Oh yeah, and I'm someone too where I have like some fun ADHD, and I'll be in the middle of doing something like, oh, you know, it'd be fun if we added a pink like money piece, and then I'm running in the back, and then I'm like, oh, I've got like 8 bowls of color. What the hell did I do?
Right.
Yep. You know, it's just easier to kind of pay this way and have a client be like, okay, cool. And this also works too if I have someone that's like, oh, I'm on a budget. Okay, we could do a balayage twice a year and then just come in and do vivid appointments in between. Like, I ain't mad about something like that. It's the best way for me to really communicate with someone. And also prices went up, man. Everything's expensive. You got to make money.
Facts. Well, everything you said are facts.
I got a puppy to pay for, man.
Right.
He's expensive.
Well, listen, what I love most about this was not only was it packed full of information, but you did that placement in like 35 minutes while educating. So if you're in a salon, it's completely doable. The time frame that you just went through, if you're having conversations with your guest, or maybe you're having a quiet appointment, is like we saw in real time how much time something like this legitimately would take.
Absolutely. And I will tell you, in 15 years of doing hair, I have never had a quiet appointment in my life. There's a yell in my name for a reason.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to seeing the finished results. Send them on over to us. We'll post them as our evening post on social media tonight so everyone can see them. Again, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Perfect, absolutely. And then I was going to say as well, I know with shark fin, I have a code, which I think is DA. So if anybody needs any good shark fin stuff, we got you. And if anybody's at all interested in trying out Colormap, I do have a promo code for them as well on joshcomohair.com. My code is GEEK. So I believe you get 20% off your purchase. So stock up, do all the good things, cut some hair, color some hair, live your best life. And thanks for spending the afternoon with us.
Great plug. I look forward to seeing the finished product. And again, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us, Willie.
Have a great Monday.
You too. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.